Hello, I'm Lee Harris, I'm an energy intuitive, and every month in these energy updates I take the pulse of what might be showing up for you in the collective, energetically, emotionally, psychologically. This month, a couple of big themes: grief leading into transformation, and power, the integration of power, the healing around power, and new levels of power hitting you in your life. So stay tuned for the full update. Hi everyone, welcome to the update for September. The sun is literally rising right now in Malibu, so it felt like the perfect time to get out here and deliver some of the themes that I've been getting for the month of September. For those of you who follow me each month, you will know that last month I spoke about the fact that we're entering a new phase energetically in August, and that will continue to play out now as we go through September, October, November. And one of the big overarching themes is power. Now, I'm aware when I bring that word up, for some of you, it can be a little triggering because we look at power abuse, misuse of power. But power is going to show up in a myriad of different ways over the next few months. There will be aspects that will be around healing power abuse and seeing where power abuses have taken place, or becoming very conscious of where a power dynamic in your life is out of balance. But equally, it's actually a time to really rest in your authentic power and bring that to the surface. So for example, it might be gifts or talents that you have that you are beginning to own and want to express in the world that perhaps previously you felt too afraid to express, or the circumstances weren't supporting you to express. As we know, expression is such an important part of our well-being. It's not so much the outcome of what we express. It's not necessarily whether someone receives it well or you get an accolade for something that you've expressed. It's actually just the very human spiritual act of letting what needs to move through us, move through us. So many are going to be coming into power in a new way in themselves in this coming month. And if that resonates for you, that's a good thing, because it's going to bring a certain energy of life into your life. And that's important given how strong grief has been in recent months and continues to be as we go through these tricky transformational times. I don't think you can look at the earth in any easy way right now. There is certainly all of the beauty and wonder and transformation that we are used to seeing and have come to desire seeing, but there is also this extraordinary period that we're going through right now where things are tough, things are difficult, things are gritty, and things are quite edgy out there in the world and in ourselves as a result. So levels of vulnerability and emotion are higher than ever. People's needs are higher than ever as we go through this, to some degree, crisis on Earth. But the other side of the crisis is the necessary transformation, because we've been in crisis for a long time, but now it's rising to the surface in a very apparent way, and that can be very triggering. So for those of you who are very sensitive, very empathic, remember that this is a time where we ride the waves, meaning it's wonderful to vision for your future, want to help people, want to bring transformation. But it's just as vital to allow ourselves the space and the time to feel what we're feeling as we go through this, because it's intense. And if we don't integrate what we're feeling and catch up with what we're feeling, we become off-center, we lose our balance, and we don't personally get to access the transformation that we are here to have in ourselves, as much as being a part of the transformation of the world. This is a very important one for healers who perhaps have been very focused on others. And you know, healers are parents, healers are teachers. Healers aren't necessarily all using that name, but if you are a little more outwardly focused, you might be finding that if you aren't giving yourself enough time to breathe, to catch up with how you're feeling, to have quiet moments at the moment, things in your life might be, shall we say, getting stuck. You might be running into roadblocks because you're being asked to stop and let yourself breathe and feel how you are feeling. The way I experience it is There are times in our life where we're asked to be big and have big conversations, big doings, big actions, big activity. And there are times in our life where we need to make everything very small. So that might be for you meditation. It might be for you sitting quietly a few times a day to just let yourself catch up with yourself. So if you're hearing me right now and you're like, oh, I like the sound of it, but I'm too busy, you won't be able to be too busy for very long before you fall over. So start to understand that the integration that we all need right now is being able to take a breath and catch up with how fast everything is changing, because it can be very overwhelming with everything that you're seeing. And if you're overwhelmed, you're not going to be productive for you or for your life. And this is a really important self-care moment. And we're very anti-self-care in the way that we have been trained as a society. So this isn't necessarily an easy thing to adopt. But more and more of us are going to be asked to go deeper into the way that we look after ourselves, our bodies, our psyches, our consciousness, so that we can show up in a bigger, more present, more loving way in the world. You can't do one without the other. So if you're running yourself ragged right now and you feel like you're trying to get little bits of oxygen, in this next month or two, it's going to be really important for you to start to develop a practice of saying, hey, it's okay, I can step out of the room for a few minutes and just catch my breath. And the more you start to practice it, the more it becomes normal, the more you have to have that oxygen. And this is important because in those feelings that we get to process, if it's grief in what you're seeing going on in the world or what you're seeing going on in your direct life, when we go through grief, grief is a transformation process. It's often seen only as loss, but actually there is a lot of birth in grief as well. As you let go of something, somebody, or a situation, even if loss, pain, grief, suffering is the dominant focus for a while, you will come out the other side and there will be a new experience for you to have. So we're all having to really honor the parts of us that are grieving things that we are seeing in the world or things that are going on around us, in order to let the grief transform through the body, to let it integrate, to let it rise, and to let it bring you back into your next steps, and specifically your authentic power. Because authentic power is really what we are trying to tap into as a society right now. And it isn't easy, because we haven't necessarily lived in a world where power has always been demonstrated to us in an authentic way. We certainly see that now on the planet. And so as you go through this process in yourself of what is my power, for many of us, power is presence, love in action, connection. But for others among you, I know you're very mission focused, and I totally understand the part of you that feels you have a power to bring into the world. There is something that you want to bring to the world. So one thing that came to me very strongly this morning, just to kind of run a check on your expectations of your mission. I'll explain. One of the things that was explained to me many years ago by my guides and completely resonated for me was, you can be the person who affects millions, or you can be the person who affects 2. And there really isn't a difference. I know in terms of numbers, it looks like there's a difference. And they are very different roles. So somebody who is built to affect millions is going to look and behave differently to the person who is built to affect 2 people. But we're all one unit and we're all connected. So often in our goal, status, achievement-based society, there is a very end goal idea around the more, the bigger, the better, that is actually more effective. And that simply isn't true, certainly not on a spiritual level and not in a level of consciousness. We're all here affecting each other, and the butterfly effect is strong on the planet, especially right now. So the one person that you smile at today, just briefly, who you've never met, and you just smile at them, you don't know how that's going to affect them, how they're going to take that into their day, and then what they're going to do next. We are a big chain of connection. So the reason I bring this up to those of you who are very mission focused, those of you who perhaps are creating external things in the world, or activities or companies or creativity that you want to affect the world, remember that timing is everything. Remember that you might be right that your mission is designed to do X, Y, and Z, but these aren't times to force or push those missions. And for those of you I'm specifically speaking to who are resonating that this isn't working right now, you're trying to force things, you're trying to push things, come back to yourself and come back into your own presence in the world. And whatever it is that you want your mission to achieve, perhaps it's helping people be more loving or be more educated about their bodies. You'll find that if you go deeper with yourself in your desired mission, you will then see that your actual mission in the world will get stronger. It has to be both. That's the new paradigm of what we're moving into. The outer world and the inner world coming more into balance on the planet, and less of a gap between those extremes. It's why so many of us can experience burnout, exhaustion, pushing ourselves to create something over there, when really what we're looking for is a connection and a creation in here. So without meaning to sound too abstract, let me try and boil it down into slightly simpler language. Yeah, if you're pushing hard on your mission and you're tired, rest. Stop pushing. Pull back. Don't worry, the mission is taken care of. Even the fact that you're thinking about the mission is on some level putting it into the universe. And there are many of us here doing what we can to bring transformation, but you also have to remember that we're here to experience our own personal transformation. And at the moment, I can just tell, just as I'm standing here kind of feeling you guys, there are quite a few of you that feel a bit on your knees and you don't quite know what to do next. If that's you, rest, stop, slow down, pause. What will normally happen when we do that is we cry a bit, we let the gas out, we release the pressure that has built up, and then everything starts to flow again. So this is a time where integration is really important, letting yourself catch up with the things that you're going through. And that very much is the map of this time. If you imagine a kind of zigzag pattern, we go into a peak or an epiphany, and then we drop down and we get used to it. And then we go into a visionary moment or a new high around connection, and then we drop down and we get used to it. This is how we have to work at the moment. We have an expansion, and then we integrate. So if you're trying to force expansion, basically trying to force living in the high all the time, you're going to find this isn't a very easy time to do that if you aren't dropping back down into your body. So for some of you, grounding, being peaceful and being present is going to be the very superpower that you feel like you're missing, that you think you have to create in some bigger external way. The more connected to this we are right now, the more everything that we're doing in the outer world is going to power. That is the paradigm shift that we are moving into. And it's not always something that you'll feel comfortable with. It's not always something you'll recognize, but that's what all of us are being invited into. So that is our authentic power, where the power in here is matched by the power that we're putting out into the world. And certainly, I think most of us can agree that if you were to look at some of the problems that you think are showing up in the world right now, if there was a little more heart and a little more integrated emotion going on, we wouldn't be seeing some of the inhumanity that we're seeing playing out. So, and that leads me to the final piece, which is heart resonance and heart energy this month. Again, it's got a little trickier, I have to say, doing energy updates in the last few years, because the months are blending more into each other. We tend to have bigger overarching themes than we did, say, in 2013, 2014, where there was a bit more of a striking difference between months. The energy has just ratcheted up to such a level of intensity now that it tends to be subtleties that we're all working with. But heart resonance and heart energy are going to be your lighthouses this month. So if you're trying to make a decision about where to go or which friend to phone, think from the heart. So Think about where it is you want to go or which friend you want to phone, and notice which one your heart responds to. Our heart energy is becoming a deeply intuitive force in us. We are learning to listen to our hearts, listen to our bodies, listen to our senses. Again, it's very new. It's a new level for us, and it isn't how most of us were trained, but it's beginning to become the norm. So when you ask your heart how you're doing and what you should do next, it's going to invite you often to rest, to pause, to have a moment of presence, to remind you that it's all okay. You know, it's funny, I had a moment the other day where there were a few things I was supposed to do that were kind of on the schedule that people were expecting from me. And I just reminded myself, when clearly it wasn't going to come out my body that day. My body didn't want to do anything to do with doing, it wanted to be. I thought, well, no one's going to die. And of course, no one did die because I didn't meet my agreed targets. And this is the difference between mind and heart. My mind wanted me to keep going on the schedule. My heart, which is far wiser, was like, no, you just need to stop. So it's moments like that. And that might seem like a very small example of listening to your heart over your mind in one instance. But the more we practice that, we actually change who we are and how we operate. And that's the new level of operating system that so many of us are beginning to enter into. Do we let our hearts lead our life as much as our mind? And that's also tying into what I was saying earlier about creating in the outside world with a very complete inner self versus perhaps the old paradigm, which is, oh, I'll feel great if I create this thing out here and then I'm going to feel great. And then often what happens is you create it and you still don't feel great because you weren't feeling great when you were creating it. So there is a real alignment now between what's going on in your inner body and how that is playing out in your outer creations in the world, how that is showing up. So it's a paradigm shift for sure. And the one other piece to look out for this month, and this really relates to heart energy too, you might find that you're, shall we say, healing some old power abuses or reactions. That might be something that's coming up for you and has been in recent weeks, because as we enter into this new phase of authentic power, we look at power from all sides, the lighter and brighter sides and the shadow sides, and we look at the power, shadow and light in ourselves, and we look at how we have hired others to play that outside ourselves, or how we have been in response to others outside ourselves playing that dynamic. So there's a lot going on: integration, power and heart. Bit of a triad, and the power piece always ramps up the energy. So that's why I started this update by reminding you all to go slow, take rest, take pause, and hey, you might have your own language around this, but no one's going to die if you stop or if you pause. And especially for those of you who are extreme caretakers, very important that you put your oxygen mask on first regularly, so that you can then be there to put it on the person who needs you to put it on them at the right times. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. A few different announcements this month. So I have a course, an online video course called Empaths versus Narcissists, a power dynamic and how to recover from it. This came out last year, and I know many of you have been through that course. I'm actually rerunning the course starting on September the 19th, and then I'm removing it for a while, at least probably for a year. So if you want to take that course, please join us by September the 19th, because that's the last opportunity to take it, and we'll play a trailer about it at the end of this video, so coming up in a couple of minutes. For those of you in the portal, we have a couple of exclusives this month. We have a channel called Masters of Time and Fire, which was recorded at my Intuitive Power event in London, and that was in July, and it was a pretty powerful one about the world situation and what's going on and how to be with it. And also some music from Dan Burke, Shifts 2, which is an incredible album, and I'm gifting it to all of you in the portal this month. And Dan's album is also available in our store, but Masters of Time and Fire is exclusive with a portal membership this month. So if you've never tried the portal, this is a great month to try it. And we are also bringing new intuitive power dates to New York, Los Angeles and Portland, I'm thrilled to say. So New York is on November the 23rd, a Saturday. It's already 50% sold out, so if you do know you want to be there, please do get your ticket ahead of time. And then Saturday, January the 18th is the date for Los Angeles, and Saturday, February the 8th is the date for Portland. The Costa Rica retreat is now fully sold out. Can't wait to be there with all of you. So until next month, guys, thank you for tuning in. You can check out my website, leeharrisenergy.com, for everything I've described, and if you stay tuned, I'll play a short video that describes what the Empaths Narcissists course is if it resonates for you. Take care. Hi, I'm Lee Harris, and I'm an energy teacher, an intuitive counselor, and a transformation guide. And for the past 14 years, I've worked with thousands of people around the world, one-on-one in workshops, through audio and video work that I've released. And the course that I've just created, Empaths versus Narcissists, is one that's really close to my heart. It's a personal experience that I've had several times in my life. Often when we go through an empath-narcissist relationship, it plays out more than once in our life. And it's something that I've seen as a pattern with the group of people that I work with. The people who are often attracted to my work are empaths, sensitives, intuitives, healers, people who feel a lot, give a lot, and often have issues with boundaries, which is really at the core of the empath-narcissist dynamic. So of course, we all have our narcissistic moments, we all have our empathic moments, but there are certain people who are very strong in the mode of being an empath in the world, and there are others who are very strong in the mode of being a narcissist in the world. So the empath wants to love, bring harmony, peace, well-being. The narcissist wants to serve their own will and their own desires and doesn't really care about the consequences for those around them as they proceed on that path. And those who are really high up the narcissistic scale actually take pleasure and power from watching others struggle or suffer because of what they say or do. So it's a very toxic and difficult and sometimes dangerous relationship. The circumstances are always different for each of us. You know, one person's story is different to another person's story, but there are core energetics that are the same across the board. And I found through working with people over the last decade or so, this issue has come up again and again and again. So this online course is something I've created that you can do in the comfort of your own home, at your own pace, and it's video content and it's divided into modules. So we're going to look at the whole range of this very complex relationship. The problem with being in an empath-narcissist relationship is it tends to erode your self-esteem, your sense of identity, and your own personal power. This is usually because you're giving your power over to the narcissist, and often we're attracted to the narcissist because they possess a certain power and a certain will. So the healing of this relationship, the gift of this relationship, when you recover, is you start to realize that you can own your own power and your own will, and you don't have to do it the way the narcissist did it. You won't necessarily be somebody who is out there not caring about how your actions affect others, but you will have come to own who you are. So that's why I created this course, to give you a space to find the recovery process, the light bulb moments, the understanding and the healing that you need to get yourself back on your feet and go to the next level in your life with your own power, your own spirit, your own soul, and what you're here to do in the world. So it's been a real pleasure to create it, and if you read the page that you're on right now, you'll see all of the details about what's involved in the course, and you can see if it feels right for you. If it does, I would love to join you and the community, both within the content of the course, but also in the private forum that we're hosting, where people can share their stories and basically share their learnings, because we as a group hold all of the pieces that we need for each other. And this course is designed to bring it all together into one place for you and guide you through it step by step in a safe, easy way. So Look forward to seeing you on the course if it resonates for you, and good luck with your healing journey. Big love.